It is Kieran Trippier. It is delicious! Glorious! Glorious!
Walker in there too. Luke Shaw! Harry Kane wants it played into him. He chooses Grealish instead. It's Grealish! It's Kane! I think like this has happened for a long time. Here's the overhead kick from Kane! Palmer finds Watkins. Watkins turns! Watkins scores!
Hello, and welcome back to the Gate 102 podcast. I hope I find you well. Today, I'll be continuing with the 2018 World Cup games. My previous 3 episodes were all on the 3 group stage games against Tunisia, Panama, and Belgium. They are all still available wherever you get your podcasts. And that leads us nicely onto today's episode. And when I decided to do this podcast, I must admit, out of all the 102 games I'll be talking about, this is the one I was looking forward to the most. And here we are. England v Colombia. A very memorable game and an even more memorable penalty shootout. Yes, can't wait for this one. But I'll start how we always start, and that's with the team. Now, obviously, the last game was against Belgium, the third group game, and Southgate decided to practically change the whole team and play the so-called understudies. But with this being a knockout game, he decided to play the players who played the first 2 games. And I think by not playing the third game, it allowed a few players to have a breather and feel fresh, ready for this game, the knockout game. So Pickford remaining goal. It was then at back 5 of Kieran Trippier, Kyle Walker, John Stones, Harry Maguire, and Ashley Young. In midfield, it was Jordan Henderson, Jesse Lingard, and a return for Dele Alli, who missed the last 2 games prior to injury. So it's good to have him back in midfield. And then it was a front 2 of Harry Kane and Raheem Sterling. So like I said, definitely a more stronger and familiar team. So moving on to the game itself. Now, obviously with the second half being quite enthralling, and as well as extra time and the shootout being what it was, I won't spend too much talking about the first half because of what's to come after that. But England had a really good opportunity to score around 15 minutes in. Trippier, it was, crossing the ball into the box from the right, and Kane had a header and tried to direct it in the net, and it sort of went on the roof of the net. But it was a really good opportunity, and it was nice to see England get off to a good start, because sometimes the nerves can get to the players, especially in these knockout games. But England came out the block very quickly, and it was a strong first 45 minutes from Southgate's side. They controlled the game, just couldn't score. But you could definitely tell that although England were the better team on the day, Colombia were definitely a step up from Tunisia and Panama. James Rodriguez was probably Colombia's best player, and he was injured for this game. And even without the main man, they were noticeably a good side, and made it difficult for England to get in behind. And it was frustrating, but after them being so defensively solid for 57 minutes, they then decided to throw Harry Kane to the floor, and the referee instantly pointed to the penalty spot. I mean, I honestly don't know what the Colombia player was thinking, but it meant England had a golden opportunity from 12 yards out. And the thing I remember about this penalty is there was such a delay from when the penalty was given to when it was taken, as the Colombia players kept trying to dig the penalty spot up and whilst talking to the referee. And I personally didn't think the referee did a great job, as he kept talking to them and standing still when it was so obvious what was happening. But despite the delay, Kane did eventually take the penalty and place it down the middle of the goal to give England the lead. Such a brilliant moment. And I thought he showed great character, having to wait for so long to then go and score the way he did. And I think it tells you everything about him, both as a player and as a captain. But England were 1-0 up, which was a relief, really. But the problem was Colombia then obviously needed scores to get back in the game. So they start having a bit more of the ball and playing with a bit more intensity. And this made it difficult for England, as it meant they found themselves defending slightly deeper than they'd have liked. And I mean, Colombia had a lot of the ball in the last half an hour of the game, as you'd sort of expect. But they still didn't really test Pickford. And England's defence were doing a brilliant job in stopping them from having shots. But in the 90th minute of the game, Colombia had sort of a shot out of the blue, really. I mean, they hadn't really tested Pickford all game, but yeah, they had a shot that was flying into the top corner, and Jordan Pickford it was, who managed to stretch out and tip it wide. Absolutely incredible save. Definitely one of the saves of the tournament. But the cost of this meant Colombia had a corner. And this is the point where you're thinking, oh no, Colombia have a corner in the last minute of the game, and you're almost embracing it. You're preparing for the worst almost. And I mean, like conceding the corner last minute, and the goalkeeper comes up, and it's almost as if you know what's coming. And I remember he's thinking, just head this away, and we're through. Just defend this corner, and that'll do us. And then the ball came in, and there was Yerry Mina to score. And it was so frustrating because it came off Trippier's head, which then deflected onto the crossbar, and then went in off the crossbar. And yeah, just so sickening. After playing so well all game, to concede like that at the end was just gutted. And I remember thinking these players deserved to win. And Colombia had hardly had any action in front of goal until right at the end. But just fine margins, and that's what these knockout games are about, fine margins. And it's because of that, which meant they have to play another half an hour. And yeah, it was extra time it was. And if I'm honest, the game was fairly even throughout the 30 minutes, really. Some players started to fatigue, as you'd expect. But the longer extra time went on, you sort of knew it was going to go to a penalty shootout. But the best chance England had during extra time was in the 112th minute. And it's from substitute Danny Rose running in behind the defence. And he had the shot, and it was so close, just went wide. And I remember watching it thinking it was going in. But yeah, just so close, just went wide. And you sort of knew that we were unlikely to get a better chance in the 8 minutes left. Yes, so close from Danny Rose, and Southgate brought on Rashford not long after. And that sort of meant in his mind he was thinking about penalties towards the latter stages of the game. And yeah, extra time started to basically ease out, and you sort of knew it was going to be penalties. And as bad as it might sound, I think with 4 minutes left of extra time, me and my family were naming which 5 penalty takers we would have. That's how confident we were that it would go to penalties, because both teams just looked tired and fatigued physically. So yeah, the whistle blew, and it was penalties. And I know it's easy for me to say now, considering I know the outcome, but I trusted in Gareth, and that he had prepared the players well enough, and that gave me confidence. And now, obviously, you're going to be like, well, of course you're going to say that, because I know we won, but at the time I generally was. Obviously, I was nervous, don't get me wrong, but I did feel upbeat and optimistic as a fan going into the shootout. But at the same time, this was my first penalty shootout watching England, whereas some of my family who were with me in the room had obviously experienced many before, and they all have a sort of similar trend, to be honest, of losing. But I'm not going to go through penalty by penalty, because I've got a little montage which I'm going to play at the end that'll do that far better than me. And also, I'm sure you can remember everything that happened. But I will talk about the final few penalties. After Henderson missed, I did start to worry, and it wasn't a bad penalty, just he had good power on it, just a good height for the goalkeeper. But then the following penalty from Colombia hits the bar, and that gave us a boost almost, and it sort of gave us a lift, and it was relief really that they'd finally missed one after scoring the first 3. Then up came Trippier, who buried it into the top corner. I think this penalty was a real settler. It just meant it was all evens again. And I'm pleased Trippier took one, as I think he's great at dead ball situations, and also I think a player who deals well with high pressure. He's good in them high pressure moments. And yeah, 3-3 in the shootout, and that obviously means sudden death. And this is the sort of situation that haunted England fans for decades. Many have seen England crumble under the pressure, but not this time. Jordan Pickford stood firm, his strong left arm palmed the ball away, and it meant England had advantage. And just what a save! And he just summed up his day, summed up his tournament, because just coming big in them big moments. And I remember I was watching it at home, and after Pickford made that save, me and my family all sort of said to each other, like, one more to go. Score this, we're through. It's like we couldn't actually believe that we had the advantage and that if we scored, we'd win. And it was like we were just coming to grips with it, really. And I'm going to hold my hands up. When I saw Eric Dyer walking towards the penalty spot, I wasn't so confident. I even remember saying to myself, like, why Dyer? Like, you had people like Lingard and Vardy on the pitch who I thought would take a better penalty. But yeah, Dyer takes a penalty instead of them. And I couldn't really understand it. But yeah, how wrong was I? As 20 seconds later, my all-time favourite football moment occurred. Eric Dyer stepped up, found the bottom corner, meaning England had won a World Cup penalty shootout. And yeah, just absolutely magical. And I remember I had the St. George's flag face painted on my cheek, and I started crying when Dyer scored, just of pure emotion. And I just remember red and white paint was just dripping off my face, and yeah, it's just like, yeah, what an amazing moment. And to experience that with my family as well, just all in tears, all in bits. And it was the first moment watching football where I sort of got emotional, high point. Just, yeah, incredible stuff. And obviously Pickford deserves so much credit, as does Dyer for scoring the winner and everyone who scored a penalty. But the man who deserves the most credit was definitely Sir Gareth Southgate. After going through what he did in 1996, to then be the one who wins England's first World Cup penalty shootout, just absolutely incredible story. And he deserves so much credit. And we couldn't have had a better leader, a better manager to take us into that shootout other than Gareth Southgate, and he deserved that win. And the way he prepared the players was just brilliant, and the players looked so confident, and that's because he was at the helm almost. And I don't know if any of you listened to this have watched Dear England production, but if you have, you'll know all about Pippa Grange, who was the sports psychologist for the England team during the tournament. And clearly the impact she had on the players was significant, and she was definitely a big part in making this moment happen. So yeah, huge credit to Pippa Grange as well as Gareth Southgate. The pair of them prepared the team so well, and yeah, seeing the fans afterwards, it was like a release really from all the garbage we'd seen from England for so long. It was like this was a release, and again a turning point. It was like we got that monkey off our back of losing penalty shootouts. It was, yeah, just a beautiful moment, and for Southgate to be the manager to do it after missing 22 years before, just incredible. And I know words aren't enough to describe this moment, so as mentioned before, I found a little something which you might like to hear. And I'll warn you now, I've listened to this clip over 100 times, and every time I do, I always get goosebumps, sometimes a bit teary. So yeah, what you're about to hear is very moving indeed. So hopefully you'll enjoy it, what you're about to hear. So I'll end this episode on that. So I hope you enjoyed this one. And until next time, take care of yourselves. I'll see you soon.
It's going to be a penalty shootout to find out who the final quarter-finalists at the 2018 World Cup will be. England's fourth World Cup shootout. Nobody needs reminding what happened in the previous three. England are out of the World Cup. Falcao versus Pickford. Colombia versus England. And Falcao hammers it home. It's over to England. Harry Kane. That is outstanding from Kane. It's Batty, and England are out of the World Cup. I don't believe it. Imagine what it's like stepping up and taking one. When your country's hopes of staying in the World Cup are on the line. Henderson puffs out his cheeks. Henderson strides up, and it's saved by looks confident. Saved by Pickford. A great big hand from England's goalkeeper. What a save! Has just given Eric Dyer the chance to send England through. Think of all those years of hurt.
England are out of the World Cup. The England faces will just reflect sheer disappointment.
Eric Dyer to stride up to change a little bit of that for England. And Dyer does it! England win a World Cup